Hey, good morning and welcome back to Question in Sense with me, Matt. Hope you guys are well. I hope everything is good in your world. It's all very good in mine. Just pottering on. If you've been following, what I will say before we get into this, if you've been following us on Instagram, you'll know that I went out sniffing at the weekend and had a wonderful time. So made some great new smelly friends and just had a wonderful time. We went to Atkinson's. I went into Fortnum Mason, spent hours in Jovoy in Mayfair. What a fantastic shop that is. We did some material matching with perfumes. Absolutely fantastic. And then finished off in Selfridges for a couple of hours sniffing around there as well. So an amazing day. It was a really nice thing to do with obviously all the lockdown that we've been through and all the new restrictions and stuff like that, to actually have a fairly normal day out, rounded off with a couple of pints, and it was a fabulous day. So before we get into the review, I just want to say hi to all my new friends and say thank you to Atkinson's and to Jovoy, and just, you know, what a fantastic day and what a wonderful experience. And if you're in London, please go into Jovoy. They're the best. So knowledgeable, an amazing lineup of fragrances, and they've got everything you could possibly want in there, and anything that you didn't even know you wanted, and such knowledgeable, helpful staff as well, that you can just find a fragrance that you want, know everything about it before you've even bought it. It's just a brilliant shop. So thank you very much to Jovoy. I've also got about 30 samples to get through. So what I might try and do is a series of videos of first impression. We don't really do a lot of first impression videos, but I think it's something that we should do. Because there's so many fragrances that I want to buy, and it's impossible. I can never buy them all. It'd be absolutely ridiculous. So what I'm going to do is sort of work through the samples and have a little chat about the samples, and give you some feedback and let you know what I think. So today, I did this last year, but I'm going to do it again. And this is we're in September now, so you can see the summer's really fading fast, and it's becoming more and more autumnal. Now, I like this time of the year because, sort of September to October, it's still quite warm, but it normally has kind of like a wintry feel or like a colder edge coming in. So that's a really good time to sort of, move your rotation on and start getting into some of your heavier fragrances. So what I'm going to do today, I've got 10 fragrances to look at for autumn or fall. Now, what I've tried to do is include fragrances that we don't hear much about, that aren't sort of everywhere on YouTube. So hopefully you'll see some stuff and get a bit of a background on some more interesting fragrances. I have reviewed most of them, if not all of them. So there will be full reviews, but some of them I haven't reviewed for a long time. So the reviews are quite old and they don't often get picked up. We've got a lot more subscribers now than when I did this last year, and these are all pretty much different fragrances as well to the ones that I used last year. So it should be quite an interesting little journey for you. There are some noticeable omissions. I've not included Nasomatto's Pardon this time. It came top of my autumnal rotation last time I did the video. And that's not because I don't wear Pardon. I absolutely love it. If you follow us on Instagram, you know I wear it quite a lot. It's just I talk about it all the time. So I've taken out quite a lot of the fragrances that I talk about all the time. So there's no Teroni in this list. There's no Pardon in this list. I've not included any of the Mancera or Montales either, because I've just recently done a video where I've gone and talked about all of them. So this is trying to, let you know some of the other fragrances that I'm going to wear. Now, I will be wearing all of these. So I've not just done, got them out of my collection purely for the purposes of the video. They will all be getting worn. Trust me on that one. But I just wanted to maybe spotlight a few fragrances that I don't talk about as much or haven't spoken about for a while. So hopefully, again, you'll see some more interesting bits and bobs. So it's going to be quite a long video, so my apologies for that. So get yourself a cup of tea, and depending on where you are and what time you're watching it, maybe a beer. I think a beer would be good. Or even better, a nice glass of Merlot. So anyway, right, let's get on with this list. First up, this is an honourable mention, and this is called Desert Rosewood from Goldfield and Banks. Now, this is very new to me. This is a decant that was given to me very kindly by Tom over at Ouch 110. Now, if you've not subscribed to Tom's channel or you've not seen any of his videos, you're really missing out. I think he's probably my favourite YouTube reviewer. A really great guy. We had he organised this trip I've been on last Saturday. And it was just superb, and he put a lot of time and effort into it, and just fantastic day out. So please, show Tom some love and check him out if you haven't already, because he really does know his stuff. So Desert Rosewood, what's it like? It's lovely. As I say, it's new to me, so I can't really give you too much information on performance and things like that, but it's a really, really nice fragrance. It's obviously, you know, rosewood's going to be the star, but you have like benzoin, you have patchouli in here, and it's a very, very sweet fragrance. What I get from it, let me just spray a little bit now. What I get from this, it's, you know, if you've got a glass of Coca-Cola and you're in a pub or whatever, and why are you drinking Coke in the pub? Maybe you've been the unlucky designated driver or something like that, but what I get from it, it almost at times reminds me of the smell of a glass of Coke when the Coke has gone flat, and you just get that kind of vibe for it. Rosewood is definitely the star, but the patchouli blends in so well with this. Now, I haven't got any other perfumes from Goldfield and Banks, and that's generally speaking because the ones I've tried they just haven't lasted on me. So, you know, I tend not to buy or put a lot of money into a fragrance that doesn't really suit me in terms of performance. But this one seems to really, really last. It's quite loud for the first hour or so, and then it softens off and becomes a little bit more than the skin scent. But I get a good 7 or 8 hours out of it, which surprised me. But it's really, really nice. It almost smells a little bit at certain times, a little bit like Bentley Intense when it dries down. So, you know, well worth exploring. I will come back and do a full review on this one because I think it's a really interesting fragrance. And as I say, it is very new to me, so I don't know too much about it. So, you know, when I've worn it a few more times, then we will have a full review of it. So that's Goldfield and Banks Desert Rosewood, an interesting fragrance I don't know too much about, but I really, really like. And that's the honourable mention. Okay. Next up, we're going to go with one that I've had for quite a while and one that I really, really love, and that's Min New York Barrel. This is awesome. This is absolutely awesome. This is one of the few fragrances I've got that is incredibly masculine, that has tuberose in it, and it just works so well. It's a big hitting rum, peat, you know, like very earthy, boozy, woodsy fragrance with excellent performance. Now, I reviewed this from a sample. I mean, stop if you've heard this before, but I reviewed this from a sample some time ago and complained about the price of it because it's incredibly expensive. So £250, £260 for a 70ml bottle. But TK Maxx had them up. They had the whole collection up for like £35 or 30 to £35. So I pounced on it, and it's a fantastic fragrance. Very manly, very, as I say, it's woodsy. It just, really, really nice fragrance. What it does is it just puts you in a great mood. It's an exciting fragrance, one that should be worn socially, not necessarily a good one for work because it is quite boozy, especially in the opening. Then this tuberose note comes in and it just all lifts itself up, so it's never too... There's a lot of heavy materials in that, but it never becomes too heavy to wear. So I think it's an absolutely splendid fragrance. It's not one I wear in warmer weather because it is very heavy, but I love it when it's getting cooler. This is my perfect pop down the pub with my mates frag, definitely. Good performance, great sillage, really, really long lasting. Decent projection, it's not outrageous, it doesn't push out too far, but what it does do, it just gives you a lovely bubble around you. You have a nice train of smell following you around, and it's really, really rather different. You're not going to bump into anybody else that smells like this, so a good call. If you can get it for a bargain, please do. I think there's, you know, when these came out really, really cheap, a lot of people bought them and didn't actually get on with it, so, you know, eBay is going to be flooded with these, and I've not heard of anyone faking them either. So, you know, have a look out for it. I really, really recommend you try this one, and if you can get it for a cheap price, blind buy it, because you could always sell it on after. Fabulous fragrance, really, really rate this one. Right, next up, we're gonna have one from Orto Paresi that doesn't get the love it deserves, and that's Boccanera. Now, Boccanera is to me an absolutely, it's a bit of a hooligan. It's got great performance, but it's really, really interesting. It's deep, it's dark, it's got some fantastic notes in it. There's chocolate in here, there's chili in here, there's ginger in here, and then there's that sort of almost black Afghano-like DNA. It doesn't get talked about as much as some of the others, and I'm not entirely sure why. I think it falls because I think with the Orto Paresi collection, the darker fragrance that everyone talks about is Toroni, and I'm as guilty as that, of doing that as the next man. And I sometimes overlook Boccanera. I mean, look at the colour of the liquid, this beautiful purple juice. I love the presentation on these. As I say, they've always got a different sort of design on the top of the cap. Fabulous fragrance, very long lasting. Big big performance, especially in the first couple of hours. It really does kick out. But then this chocolatey note comes out, and then the chocolatey note is kind of sharpened with this sort of edgy ginger, and then this chili note that comes into it. So it's a good one. It's an exciting fragrance, and again, it's one that you won't, you know, you're very unlikely to meet somebody else that smells like you. It does have a bit of the black Afghano DNA in the dry down, which I think, you know, if you like black Afghano, you're going to love this. If you're not, you know, if you're a bit edgy or you don't like black Afghano, this probably isn't for you. But it's well worth exploring, and I do really enjoy this one. Okie dokie. Right, next up, this is one for the colder times, and this is really, really good. It doesn't get very much love at all, and I don't understand why, and that's Molinard's Vanille Patchouli. This is beautiful, very vanilla-y, very patchouli. Some other little medicinal notes in here. It smells to me a bit, you know, and when I reviewed this, I said it reminded me of an old-fashioned sweet shop that I used to go into, and I think that still, you know, stands to me. I haven't found anything that smells the same. It's so lovely. It's very unctuous. Performance is good. It's not a beast mode by any means, but it does last a long time, and it sits above the skin very, very well. So you're not, you know, losing it. You're not thinking, oh, where's that gone? It's always there. I really like this, and I don't understand why not everybody's raving about it. I think maybe it's just a bit, maybe too vanilla-y for some. It's not overly sweet. The vanilla's kind of like a deep vanilla, and the patchouli sits on top of it. There's a few other notes hidden away in here as well. But this is outstanding, and it's really, really reasonable. I think you can get this for like 30 quid, so well worth exploring. It would be, you know, a lot of the, I meant to say, a lot of these autumnal fragrances work very, very well in the winter as well. And I think in the UK, autumn and winter suddenly become very, you know, one season effectively. So a lot of these, you know, you'll probably find me not do a top 10 winter list. You know, I'll just stick with the autumnal one, because I think autumn's a little bit more of an exciting time for me than winter. You still get the cold weather, but you also get the warm weather, and hopefully it's not going to be as wet as winter. But this is fabulous. I think as autumn sort of comes into winter, this is going to be great for Christmas. In fact, it is great for Christmas. I wore it a lot last year over the Christmas period. Beautiful frag, don't hear much about it, don't know why. Vanilla and patchouli done very, very well. Good fragrance, highly recommended. Okay, next up we have Daniel Josier's Amber Toback. Beautiful fragrance. I did review it quite recently, so there's a full review up there, so I'm not going to spend too much time talking about it. But this is fabulous. Very, very long lasting, very, very big. It has huge projection, huge sillage, and it's glorious. And it's sharp. There's a warm amber, there's a vanillic like dry down, and the tobacco here is rich and unctuous. It's beautiful. It is quite a manly fragrance. I think, you know, it is, everything's unisex. I fully appreciate that. But this one certainly does have a more of a masculine vibe about it. I absolutely love this. You can see how much I've got through this already, and I've not had it that long. But I'm really, really going to enjoy this one. It's a perfect one for work for me. I just think it's big enough to get me through a work day. It also always smells interesting. It suits my skin to perfect. You know, it's almost like it's been tailor-made for my skin. Fabulous stuff. Pretty bottle. I just love it. And I think, you know, I know there's a lot of, you know, tobacco and vanilla or tobacco and amber fragrances out there. But I think this one is, to me, it's kind of like the definitive version of it. It does lean a little bit to Tom Ford's Tobacco Vanille. But Tobacco Vanille I do enjoy, but it to me often smells a bit like a Yankee Candle or a Christmas cake. This one doesn't have any of that. It has minimal spicing, although there is spice in it. It doesn't get clogged down with all the, you know, the cinnamony cloves and things like that Tobacco Vanille does. So it's a good alternative, and obviously it's a lot cheaper. This is possibly the best value niche on the market outside of the Mancera Montal world. You can get this 50ml for the same sort of, less than you pay for a modern designer fragrance. So really, really worth exploring. And you can get, Daniel Josier does these great Explorer sort of sample sets, which are well worth doing. There's quite a few in the range as well. Big collection, but this one to me is the absolute star of that collection, and I highly recommend that you try it. Looking at Marshud 5 from Atyab Al Marshud. Now, I have reviewed this fairly recently. No one talks about this. I can't find any other reviews on YouTube about this one, and I don't know why, because it's an absolute stunning fragrance. It's beautiful. And before we go into the frag, I just wanted to say that the performance on this is like nothing on earth. It lasts on your skin for days. This little 30ml bottle will last me forever. I think it really, really will. It's rich, it's deep, it's got oud in it, it's got saffron in it. Apparently, according to the manufacturer, it has vetiver oil in it as well, which did surprise me. But it's just such a big fragrance. It can be worn all year round. I wouldn't wear it too much on a hot day, but on a cooler day or a cold day, it will just come alive. It almost gives me like a scorched beach vibe with, you know, sort of pampas grass or, you know, reeds or whatever that grows on a beach, you know, when they've been dried out. And it's a very arid kind of feeling. Arid and warm feeling perfume. The oud in it is quite noticeable, but it's not animalic. Well, it's a little bit animalic, but it's not skanky. It's not a medicinal oud. It's not one that's going to, you know, repel those that aren't too keen on oud. It's just an enormous fragrance. Biblical performance, but it's really, really good. The saffron in here, and it does, you know, in my review I said this could easily have been in the Xerjoff's Oud Stars collection. If it was in one of those bottles, no one would bat an eyelid. You'd be very, very happy to pay a lot more for it than this. You can get it on, I think you can only get it on eBay in the UK and probably in the States as well for a really good price. Bearing in mind it is a 30ml bottle, but you will not, you know, 2 or 3 sprays maximum, and that's you set. You're not topping this up again. You know, you go to work with it on in the morning and you'll come back and you'll still smell pretty much the same as when you left in the morning. Big hitting fragrance, and I absolutely adore it. Highly, highly recommended. Apparently, I had a message from these guys actually after my review went out. They're opening a store in London at some point. So when that happens, I will be able to go in and smell some of the others from the collection. But really, really good. So that's Altiab's Marchud 5. Let me hold that up so you can see it a bit better there. Fabulous fragrance. Okay, next on the list, every now and again you want something sweet, and there's nothing better than Thomas Kosmala's Aprila Moor number 4. Totally and utterly in the same world as Baccarat Rouge BR 540, but this is a slightly more masculine leaning one. I've spoken about this one quite a lot, but I had to include it because I wear it quite a lot, especially when it's cold. Absolute beast mode, massive, massive projection. The sillage is like nothing else I've got. The sillage is probably only comparable to Otto Parese's Bergamusk. This is a massive fragrance. It lasts for days. So 10 hours after applying it, you've still got a scent trail following you around. It's just all encompassing. It's sweet, woodsy, saffrony, you know, none of the latex glove. There is a little bit of a citrus opening to this one, which gives it a little bit, makes it a little bit more interesting. And as I say, to me, this is a little bit more of a masculine leaning Baccarat Rouge Baccarat Rouge 540, but it's more like the X-Straight than the normal one. So really, really worth exploring. It's a lot cheaper than the MFK one as well. This is a Harrods exclusive at the moment. I think they put the price up to £140 for a 100ml bottle, but you're never going to get through it. Trust me, 2 sprays and you're set to go. I mean, I've oversprayed this before and I thought I'd become it. It was literally, I smelt of it for days. So you've got to be very light on the trigger with this one because it is massive. Some people struggle to smell it on themselves after sort of a couple of hours. They think it's disappeared and they have to really look for it, but trust me, it's not going anywhere. It's everywhere around you. Massive, massive performance, fabulous fragrance. Right, next up, one of my favourites that nobody talks about, and I don't know why, and this is Amber Noir by Angela Flanders from London. Beautiful fragrance, and this 30ml bottle will last me a lifetime. This is a thick, unctuous, heavy, long lasting fragrance. And also it's pretty cheap. You can get a 30ml for around the £50 mark, and that is exceptional value. This is amber done dirty. This is sexy amber. There's booze in this, there's amber in this, there's a little civet in this, there's a bit incensey in this. It's an absolutely amazing perfume, and I can't wait to wear it more. It lasts and lasts and lasts. It's exotic and exciting and just, oh, really, really good. Don't wear it for work because it is quite boozy, and I think, you know, people may start questioning your life choices. You know, is there anything you'd like to tell me? So please don't wear this for work, but for social or nights out or anything like that, this is absolutely awesome. Very, very sexy fragrance and my favourite amber of all. So there you have it. Okay, next up, we have one that I spoke about fairly recently, and this is called Noir Dorian from Evody. This is a stunning fragrance. I absolutely adore this. I've mentioned it before. It's like a cross between Andy Towers' LDDM and Xerjoff's Ivory Root. It's almost like you've blended the two together to come up with Evody. This is a sweet, woodsy, cinnamon is very, very heavy in this. And it's just it's really, really intoxicating. It's not a loud perfume at all, but it does last a long time. It sits quite close to your skin, which makes it quite a sexy, quite an enticing fragrance. Not a beast mode at all, but something that I think is a beautiful fragrance, and I can honestly wear this all the time. Love this stuff, and it's going to get a real kicking throughout autumn and into winter as well. So that's Noir Dorian by Evody. Now, I got this in a Facebook group for absolutely no money at all. I think if you bought it retail, it's probably about £100 a bottle for 100 ml. Which I think is a fair price. If you can get it cheaper, do get it. And it's certainly one that you're going to dive into. If you like sweet, sort of dark, cinnamony fragrances, it's lovely. Really, really good. Right, down to the last two. And as I say, these are in no particular order apart from the number one. Right, here we go. So my second from last is Atkinson's The Other Side of the Oud. Now, having just been into Atkinson's over the weekend as well, I managed to get quite a few people that were with us to smell it, and they all loved it, and I know at least 2 are going to be looking to buy a bottle of it now they've actually had a chance to smell it. Presentation is beautiful. This is a fabulous fragrance. This is cardamom, this is cinnamon, this is oud, well, a western oud, so it doesn't really smell like oud, and there's a beautiful coffee note that stays all the way through this fragrance. It's delicious. Really, really warm, really, really spicy, really, really inviting fragrance. It's fabulous stuff. If you've not tried this, please, please, please get a sample. You can get samples from Atkinson's, so please, please do. Of all of their oud collection, this is by far my favourite. I think it's wonderful stuff. There's a vanilla-y, sweet, woodsy dry down, but that coffee note still stays there with it. And obviously this Western interpretation of oud is always present as well. Fabulous stuff. I really, really like this. And I have recently done a full review of it. So, you know, if you need more information, have a look on the full review. Okay, finally, my number one for this collection, for this top 10 that we're doing. And this is the fragrance that I'm wearing today. And that is Iron Duke from Beaufort. I absolutely love this fragrance. It's another beast mode though, so you have to be careful with it. This is so, I'm going to spray a bit more actually. This is so unique. It's just, it's deep, it's dark, it's right in your face. It's oudy in the dry down, it's smoky. There's a shaving foam vibe to it as well, so it makes it incredibly masculine. It will take a very, you know, I think this would smell amazing on a woman, by the way, because it is so dark and deep and exciting, but beautiful fragrance. Really, really long lasting. I mean, stupidly long lasting. This goes on for hours, but it doesn't fade off. What happens is it just changes its gears a bit, and then it showcases the next note, the next accord kind of whips itself together and blasts out at you. Oh, it's so, so dreamy. It's so, so interesting. And this sort of leathery, woodsy, dark, almost smoky thing just develops and develops and develops. And you end up like an old leather settee that's been loved but sat in the house for years and years and years. It's never musty. Every note is always sharp and pronounced, and it's just beautiful blending as well. And if it wasn't so well put together, it would be appalling, because there's so much strong stuff vying for your attention here. It really does kick out too, so you need to be aware of that. Not one I've ever worn for work, or, you know, if I've worn it for work, but as you know, I don't work in an office. If you did work in an office, I'll probably give that a swerve, or be really, really gentle with the sprays, because it has a huge presence. And it's lovely. It smells absolutely amazing on me. Everyone seems to like it on me as well, but don't be, you know, get a sample of it, because it is quite different, and it is a very, as I say, in your face perfume. So it leaps out, it punches out. So you've got to be a bit careful with it. I strongly recommend you sample this. In fact, everything from Beaufort, I really recommend you sample. Don't go blind buying these, because you'll, you know, you might be in for a bit of a shock. It's about £100 for 50 mils, and because it is such a potent perfume, that 50 mils will last you a long time. It's not one that you're going to want to wear every day, but it's certainly one that I think is just, why isn't everybody screaming about Iron Duke? This is an absolute stunning fragrance. Have a look at the others from the collection as well. They've got some really, really interesting fragrances, but Iron Duke was my sort of pick from the house. Lovely stuff. So there you have it. That's 10 autumnal fall fragrances that will easily be worn in the winter, that I'm going to be wearing a lot, and hopefully some that you don't know too much about. If you've got any questions about any of these at all, then please hit me up below, or see us on Instagram, and we'll be more than happy to help and answer any questions that you've got. So listen, as always guys, thank you so much. I've got As I mentioned, I've got about 30 samples to get through. I've still got a load of reviews to try and catch up on. This little holiday break that we had over the summers set me back. So I'm going to try and get as many videos out as I can, just so that, you know, we can keep things flying. I listen to all the new subscribers. Hi, thank you very much for your time. We really appreciate you coming on board and supporting the channel. So as always, stay safe and thank you very much for your time. Cheers and bye.